Hey, it's Eddie and welcome to another edition of Stuff and Things. And today I'm going to be working on the RV build. This is for those of you who are new to my channel, this is a 1999 Freightliner FedEx van, step van, that I'm converting into an RV. So basically, I've gutted the whole thing. I've ripped out the ceiling. The ceiling had this sort of really thin, crappy aluminum stuff on it that rattled and made a lot of noise. It had very thin insulation on it. And I want to really insulate the walls, the ceiling, and the floor of this thing because it is going to be an RV and we are going to be living in it. Planning, planning, planning. I know everybody gets their vehicle, whether it be a bus, a step van, whatever, they rip it all apart and then they want to immediately start building. But you really want to plan the hell out of the thing before you start doing stuff, because if you don't, you'll end up doing something that causes you problems. Okay. First thing to keep in mind is that in most RVs, all of your utilities are on the driver's side of the vehicle. That's where all your plumbing hookups are, etc. So if you pull into any regular campground, your electrical, your plumbing, your sewer, it's all going to be on the driver's side. So if you start putting things on the passenger side, you're going to create a problem when you pull into dump stations and fill stations because the hoses aren't going to reach and you're going to have to back through stuff. It's going to be a real pain in the ass. So you want to put your plumbing on and electrical and service on the driver's side. In our case, we have an issue here because we have the gas tank over here. So that kind of limits me. The other thing I have right here on the floor is an access panel. My advice, I would never ever cover access panels. I know people go, oh, I'm never going to need to get to that. Yeah, famous last words. And then after you've covered it up, you suddenly need to get to it. This access panel, I opened it up. It turns out it's to the top of the fuel tank. It's where the pickup lines are, and it's also where the fuel gauge is. So whatever I build over here, I'm going to want to leave myself an access panel to get into that. The other thing I would recommend doing is figure out if there's any spot on your floor or anywhere else where you may want an access panel to get to something, and if so, cut it and put it in now, and then design and cut an access panel later, because once you cover it up, it's going to be a real pain in the ass to cut it out, and or it's going to end up looking really crappy if you have to start cutting through your finished work. So that's an important factor here. I have about 16 feet of room front to back. It's about a little over 7 feet wide and a little under 7 feet tall. So those are my parameters. We want to put a queen-size bed. We want a bathroom, a full bathroom, shower and toilet. I'm not going to put a sink in the toilet. I'm going to use the sink in the kitchen. And the reason for that is that it's a pretty tight space. And so I don't want to waste the space on a sink when I've already got a sink in the bathroom. We also, since we plan on living in this thing for probably a few months while we do a cross-country trip, I'm going to want a washing machine. So I got to kind of figure that in. They make some small 24-inch wide. GE has one that's supposedly really good, that will easily do laundry for a couple of people, and it's a front loader, so it spin cycles, and when you pull it out of the spin cycle, it's pretty much most of the water's been pulled out of it, and then you just line dry it for a little bit. So the driver's area, okay? A lot of times people start and they think about their build going from here back and they forget about the driver's area, but the thing is, the driver's area is actually a really good area that can be used for dual purpose. I'm considering putting this seat or a captain's chair on a swivel so that we can turn it around and then utilize this as one of the seats for eating or, whatever, as opposed to just sort of leaving this area as just the driver's area, make it part of the usable space. I got a lot of room up here. We're going to end up doing cabinets all above that'll probably stick out probably a foot, foot and a half, and that's a decent amount of storage space up here. So these are things to consider. One of the weird things about this van is that these side ribs are actually all different sizes. I don't know why they did that when they built this, but I can almost understand why this one's thicker because it's got to hide the door. But these literally get thinner. They stick out less as the wall goes that way, and it does the exact opposite on this side. They start thick in the back, and then they narrow themselves down towards the front. I don't know why that is. We're going to end up building a wall inside here anyways to bring it out and just make it one smooth wall. But that's going to also affect how you trim it out, the windows that you use, because most windows for RVs, if you use RV windows, are designed for a certain thickness. So we're going to have to keep all that stuff into consideration with how we build that. The wheel wells are another item that you're going to want to plan around because obviously they take up space. So I think what we're going to end up doing, it's going to work out that the bed will be over part of it, and our kitchen cabinet on one side and our kitchen cabinets on the other side will be also over. Okay, the roll-up door. The roll-up door, we're going to lose the roll-up door. I know some people like to keep the roll-up doors because they want to be stealth if they're going to be camping in a city. For us, we're going to make this thing look like an RV, so we don't care about the roll-up door. The problem with leaving a roll-up door is you have to frame around it, you have to leave it, and then when you roll it up, or when you roll it down, there's a big gap that's left between the top that, yeah, you can stuff some things in, or you have to fully enclose it, and if you do that, then you can't get to the hardware if there's ever a problem. So none of those really work for us, and so what we're going to do is we're just going to rip it all down. It appears that the track that this thing is mounted on is possibly welded to the body or attached in a way that makes it so it won't be easy to take down. If that's the case, we're just going to abandon it back there. But what we're going to do is build a solid wall in the back with a door in it. We're going to probably make the door 4 to 5 feet wide because we want to have the ability to bring things in here, i.e. if we ever decided to use this like a toy hauler, put a motorcycle, dirt bike, whatever, we have that option if we have a nice big door in the back. Our game plan is to put a queen-size bed back here that's on a lift. So the bed can come up to probably about here. It's not really easy to walk under, but if you've got to work your way under, then we'll lower it down during the day, or at night, we lower it down to sleep in it. During the day, it can go up and there can be seating or whatever underneath here. Also gives us the added bonus of being able to set up this so that we could conceivably have somebody else sleep here right now. We have 4 dogs. Our dogs are going to probably be sleeping under the bed, so we want the bed up high enough so that they have room to get in and out, because both sides of this are going to be full of cabinets. As you can see here, we have some little holes in the floor. I would highly recommend that you cover those holes and seal them up with either silicone or fiberglass resin or something, because it's a spot where moisture and crud can get inside. Even if you seal it over with a floor, there's always the possibility of something getting up in there, bugs, whatever. Seal it up. It's real easy to do. I would also recommend highly get underneath the vehicle and figure out where everything is. You want to know that before you start drilling holes through the bottom. If you don't pay attention, it's really easy to drill through electrical wiring, fuel lines. There's a whole slew of things that you can ruin by punching a drill through if you don't check first. And it's also going to determine where your plumbing goes.